We are Chris and Bex, the Nomadic Crobot, and we are 3 years deep into this never-ending refit of this ghastly old narrowboat. We are getting there, guys. Stick with us. One of the last things to do on the boat is to get hot running water. We haven't had any for 3 years. It has been mental. But we have a Bex on board, and she is determined to get me hot water so I can finally have me nice warm running shower. Nice one. Hi guys, so we've got our BSS sailbite date fast approaching. That's basically our narrowboat's MOT. So 3 years ago when we purchased the narrowboat, we pulled out the hot water tank literally like 2 days in due to some serious leakage issue. Now that has obviously led to the Audi boiler being disconnected. So in order for the narrowboat to pass the BSS, the Audi boiler either needs to be linked up and connected up properly to a proper gas system on the narrowboat like it previously was, or it needs to be shut off properly. So what a great opportunity for Bex to get her arse in gear and yeah, get it linked up, eh?
So are you guys ready for some hot stuff? And by that, of course I mean hot water. So I have done the first part of the cold water feed into the calorifier. Now I just need to rig up the pipework for the hot water output. So just to give you a quick rundown, I need to tee off from this here nozzle, which is the hot water input into the mixer tap. From that tee, I will carry on up into the expansion tank, which basically serves the purpose of absorbing any expansion that occurs when this bad boy warms up. And from the other end of the tee, I'll run the hot water pipe down here, down the wall, and then back away to give us hot water from the taps. Woohoo! I cannot wait to be able to wash my hands in warm water. Oh my God, like milestone. So I'm not going to take you through every wee little bit of plumbing I'm doing, but I'll get back to you once I've finished and I can show you again what I've done. Now you've heard the theory, I'll go do the practice.
So you may have wondered how on earth have Crobot managed without hot water on this smelly old narrowboat. Yeah, just whacked it on here for the last 3 years. So while I try to work out how I'm going to demonstrate this complicated process with a damaged marigold, Bex is going to just show you how to, so, I don't know, she's not messing around with some tank in the back room, so.
Okay, first stage is completed. Let's have a wee little look. Here we have a T-fitting that's coming into the mixer valve here to control for the hot and cold water. And off of it branches the pipes that takes us up into the expansion tank, whose purpose is to absorb any expansion that happens within the calorifier as the water heats up. If the calorifier gets too hot and it runs out of space, essentially, for that excess expansion, it will filter up into the expansion tank, which is capable of holding about 5 litres of water. Now the rule of thumb is that you opt for an expansion tank that's about 10% the size of your calorifier. That's about the right sort of sizings for it. Now as you can see, for the moment I've disconnected this section because there is one more thing I need to do from the cold water line, which I'd sort of forgotten about, but that's okay. We can do it retrospectively. Now what I need to do is tee off from this pipe to feed a cold water line back to the taps. Now the reason for this, according to the manual, is that the cold water from the water tank at the front of the boat should run down and first go into the calorifier before going to your taps. And I think the reason for this is for kind of pressure differences. The idea is you fill your calorifier up with cold water. It branches off up to the mixer tap, as I showed you in the last vlog. But before it does this, it then feeds back round to the taps and the shower and everything else in the boat. It seems a bit mad that you have to come all the way up the boat only to go back down a ways, but apparently there is a good reason for this, because we might end up with pressure droppage, which it'll be horrible. You know, one of you kind of in the shower enjoying a luxurious hot shower and then someone turns the tap on and you're screwed. So I know that is going to cause loads of controversy because everywhere you look, people have different opinions on it. So feel free to shout out what you think about it if you think it's necessary. I mean, I kind of figure, yeah, it's extra pipe work that you have to sort of sort out, but if it makes things run a bit more smoothly in the long run, then it's probably worth doing. And also on the diagram that came with the calorifier, it does suggest to do this, so I kind of figure there's obviously a reason for that. So
I have never ever let anyone into the secret on how I wash up my dishes on the narrowboat, so you are in for a treat here, guys. First washing up hack is to lift up the kettle really high so it pours in from a very high distance. This adds a sense of danger to the operation. Perfect. Next up, we throw that in very hard. A lot of people do it gently. You have to throw it in hard if you want that deeper cleanse. I've had some complaints recently from viewers that say, why do I throw everything around? Well, it actually adds to the drying procedure, funnily enough. You get a far richer dry. But I do understand where you're coming from because it does look a little bit mad. But I assure you, it is a solid dry.
there we go, all done. Cold water will come down into the boat, feed up this line, come back a ways and go back to the tap. So that's enough hard work for today. I think I've earned my roast dinner.
And by roast dinner, she meant Sopran Ella, our pet duck. Yep, the cat's out the bag. We've been fattening this little bugger up for months now, and she's finally ready to eat. So Bex has actually got a really great way of stuffing the duck from mint that she found from the towpath. Amazing! We're not going to eat her, obviously. She's family and she's far too cute. I mean, yeah, you don't eat family, do you guys? Oh. She's come back to the mother nest, the wombat. Minarmbreds are getting quite a reputation on these waters, isn't she?
So away from all of the hard, sloggy kind of things about the boat, I just wanted to do something a bit kind of cute. And I've always had a thing about like fairy lights, and so I wanted to go and grab some solar lights to just run around the outside of the boat just to kind of spruce her up a little bit. We're getting into the warmer weather now, well, hopefully so. I've got these solar lights which I just think will make a nice little difference. So excited! Wow, look at them. They're so cute. I can't wait to get them up outside. Got your little solar panel here as well. But the good thing about these is you can also charge them by USB if the sun has decided to keep its hat on for too long. Ooh. So excited. So let's see what Chris thinks of them. Chris! I've got a surprise!
Oh wow! New navigation lights! Does this mean we're going to turn into like those proper narrowboat people that have like their narrowboat lit up all year round? Or do we put them up now and then we just wait until Christmas Day to flip the switch?
No man, it's like Christmas Day every day on the Whistling Wombat. Those lights are going to shine.
In our never-ending quest of trying to become like real narrowboaters, this is a step in the right direction. Let's get cracking, let's get these bad boys up. Look at that, look, that precision. What a mess.
Oh, it's going to look well rad. Like, just wait until tonight and they'll be glowing in all their beauty. They'll have absorbed this beautiful sunshine.
No, I reckon they'll look really good. One step closer to becoming real narrowboaters.
Just trying to get them onto the...
Yeah.
Okay guys, the weirdest thing has just happened. So I just ran into the lounge to grab the camera because there was these two like really cute moorhens outside doing like a little courtship thing, and I thought, oh, that'll be really funky to just capture that on camera. And at the same time there was a male mallard just sat doing his thing on the water. I don't know if you could see, just in the corner of the screen, just as I was zooming in on this moorhen, suddenly there was like a massive splash and this duck just disappeared under the water. He didn't take off, he didn't dive, like it's literally as though something grabbed him and he's just full on disappeared. He hasn't come back. I've been watching out the window for ages now and he still hasn't returned. Like, I wish the camera had just been panned round a tiny bit more. You can just make it out. It's just so weird. I wonder what's lurking under the surface.
Hands up who went to Crick Narrowboat Festival. Is that what it's called? Crick Boat Show. So we've been meaning to go to Crick Boat Show like for the last 3 years, but something's always got in the way. We were going to head up there with Titan Boat Canopies. We were going to meet all you lovely guys and see what you've got to say. And Titan Boat Canopies were also going to introduce us to a few other little companies. And hopefully, I was hoping to sort of find someone that could maybe do something on a solar front with us. Obviously, we had the BSS get in the way, so we're running towards this target of getting that finished before the boat gets, I don't know, re-evicted or whatever you call it.
Okay guys, so the calorifier progress is coming along really well. My dad came down the other day and we managed to get a good chunk of it done. However, I didn't film it. The reason being it would have just been impossible. What I have to say is, if you're doing up a boat, doing things retrospectively is so much more difficult. If this space was all open and you had complete access to where you needed to be, oh my god, it'd be so much easier. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is just quickly walk you through what we accomplished the other day and you'll see what I mean, I think. So we have been working on attaching the secondary source of heat for the calorifier, which is the Aldi gas boiler. So we have run 22mm pipes for the heating kind of circuit all the way through the back room. Here they go, following it down the room where they exit into the bathroom through this little hole. So one of the greatest difficulties was cutting the holes through the wall so that the pipes could feed through. As you can see in the bathroom, they have extended the wall at some point in the past out from the gunnel so that the wall sits flush. Presumably this is so that they can just make a nice tiled kind of straight section of wall without having to navigate step-ins and things. So just needed to make sure that if any point in the future those pipes need to be accessed, they can be, because things do go wrong ultimately. And what you don't want is a wall that's completely tiled that you'd have to rip off if something went wrong with the pipework that was hidden behind the wall. However, I think I've come up with a solution. So in this corner right here is where the shower tray will stand. It'll bunk right up next to that wall and that will be tiled. However, on this section, what I'm thinking of doing is putting a removable panel just so that you can get behind, because obviously you can see here, this is where the shower hoses come out. And if anything's going to go wrong, it's normally on the fittings. So I'm going to have a removable panel there, which has basically meant I can continue running the boiler pipes behind the wall, where then, with some great difficulty, I cut a hole in the wall to let them through into the bedroom section. So luckily I was able to come from this side and cut the access hole where it runs along the wall here under the bed and it exits through to the other side where I was able to cut a hole into the kitchen cupboard. This of course all being made more easy by the fact that I have a load of ballast to work around. So I had to get into my little goblin mode and just squeeze myself into the tiniest of gaps, wrecking my back as you would in the process, just to be able to get the multi-tool on those walls. Because yes guys, this is what I'm working with right now. I mean, we all have secrets stashed under the bed, but this is just taking it a bit far. Once upon a time there used to be a hallway and now it's this. It's like the world's hardest obstacle course. So the next section required me to literally get inside the cupboard. Not easy when you're at the age I am. I'm not quite as bendy as I used to be. Here is the said cupboard and all of its contents on the floor. Now this is like an L-shaped cupboard. So yeah, that's where the pipes run through. All the way over to this side, which required some serious flexing to cut that hole out. Now this then runs under the kitchen sink where we have all of the accumulator and other pipe work. Water pump there, we've got our accumulator tank. Somewhere along here we have our filter hiding. And the pipes run all the way along here through and out the other side, just there as you can see. And you can see the padded pipe there, that is actually the water pipe that runs from the tank at the bow of the boat. There we go, there's our water filter. and then our mains water pipe that drives all the way down the boat to the calorifier fills that first before circulating back to the taps, because apparently this is the best way to sort of set up the pressure correctly throughout the boat. Otherwise it's one of those jobbies, someone's in the shower, someone else turns the tap on, and it either goes freezing or boiling or stops. So just trying to balance it out as best as I can with my understanding of it, which is kind of little, but the calorifier instructions suggest to do it that way, so I'm just going to follow their suggestions. The pipes run behind the fridge where they finally meet the Aldi boiler. Oh yeah. This is where they come through and will attach to the hoses of the boiler. That bit hasn't been done so far, simply because there's a couple of parts I need that we didn't have to hand. So for anyone who's wondering, can you attach plastic barrier pipe to compression fittings? Because I was a bit unsure about this. And when I was trying to look for a plastic to brass fitting, which do exist, I think, but not for these sizings that I need, I had to look into it. Now, you can use compression fittings on the plastic barrier pipe. You just have to ensure a couple of things. You have to make sure you have the correct pipe inserts, because there are two different types. Some are best used for when you're just connecting it to the speed fittings, but if you're connecting it to a metal or a brass fitting, it needs a slightly different insert. And secondly, you have to use a copper olive as opposed to a brass one. And my understanding is because the copper's softer, it moulds better and reduces the risk of the pipe distorting in any way, whereas brass is a bit tougher, so presumably it has some sort of impact of that nature. Now, I'm just going to follow what the manufacturers say on this one. I don't have any other experience, so I just prefer to do it that way, and then you know that you're relatively safe.
So another huge thing about finally having to get this hot water tank sorted is that it's one of the final jobs on the narrowboat to get done before we go cruising. So it's basically just giving us a big kick up the arse to get one of the last sort of jobs done. After we've got that sorted, I think all we've got to do is kit out the bathroom, which probably get done in like a month, couldn't you? Knowing Crobot, it takes 3 months, but in theory we could get it done in a month, because obviously we need to have showers. It's always been a big thing. We can't go cruising until we can have a shower. It's just silly if we can't. But then we'll be on to our final project on the narrowboat, and that is the batteries. Once we've got the batteries, we can get them charging up from the engine, we can get some new solar on the top of the narrowboat, we can start bringing energy onto the narrowboat for our cruises. So there we go, we've got a big kick up the arse now. 2024 is going to be our year, guys, I'm telling you.
Right, it is suitably dark outside, so let's go and check up on the awesome solar lights. Oh, they look so pretty. Love them.